with Health Innovation Media, broadcasting live from the 7th Annual Health 2.0 Conference in Santa Clara. The conference has moved south from San Francisco to Silicon Valley, and it's a bigger venue and a bigger conference and really pretty exciting. And it's my pleasure to have with me today Peter Kirk, who is the CEO of WorldOne and also of Sermo. So Peter, tell us about WorldOne and tell us about Sermo and tell us about how they're connected.
Well, first off, thank you for having me, Pat.
My pleasure.
WorldOne was founded in 2000 in London, and we have become over the last 13 years the leading company for data collection around the world for pharmaceutical companies on behalf of the MROs, the market research organizations.
So you collect data from docs' prescribing practices?
That's correct, yes.
Okay.
So we have amassed a fantastic 1.8 million healthcare professionals in over 50 different countries.
Wow.
That gives us data
Uh-huh.
that we then pass on to analytical companies, consultancies, MROs, and to pharma.
Okay.
We then does analytics on any variety of different topics.
So that's pharma, I'm a physician, by the
Yes.
way. That's pharma trying to figure out how to get me to prescribe their drug?
Yeah, it could be pre-trial, but most of it is post-trial. How are we doing? Brand awareness, marketing, market share, pricing, any sort of thing.
Okay,
that
they're using it to collect any information
That's
about
correct.
post-marketing side effects?
Also that, yeah, but that wouldn't be the majority of what we do.
Okay. The majority is,
It's more marketing related.
right, figuring
Yeah.
out who I am, why I'm prescribing, and how you can get me to go
Correct.
from brand A to brand
Yeah.
B.
Or
Okay.
who are the influencers in that market? What is the brand awareness? What's the market share, etc.
Okay. Well, I bet pharma loves you.
They seem to do, absolutely, yeah.
And so why Sermo? Sermo,
So-
I'll tell you, I was a member, although I just tried to sign on, and I can't figure out my password, so I guess I've waited a little too long. But I kind of heard that recently Sermo was about a lot of docs that were mad at health reform here in the United States. What's the fit between data for pharma and a community of physicians who seem to be active in a political arena?
Sure. Well, about being the mad part is so 2010 or whatever.
That's so 2010.
So 2010,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Sermo today is about community, it's about trust, and it's about us improving healthcare globally. So, as you may know, Sermo is US only today, it's physicians only. Our vision is to expand Sermo globally and also to include other healthcare professionals through time.
Oh, okay, like nurses and
Yeah,
ancillary
but
professionals?
yes, but not directly. But it'll be strictly for physicians as a closed community, but then with avenues or bridges to communicate with other healthcare stakeholders.
Oh, okay. And why Sermo? What about Doximity? This
Well,
is
it's-
another physician community.
Doximity and Jeff Tagney is a fantastic company. I think if you were to speak to Jeff, he would say that theirs is more about the contacts, more about the connections. It's more like a LinkedIn towards model. But ours is more a community model and about crowdsourcing. So although you could, in terms of numbers, you could say they're somewhat similar, they have two different ways of thinking about the purpose of each company, of each community/network. So we are community, Doximity is network. Both
Okay.
fantastic, but fills different needs.
And so what's your vision of what you're going to do with Sermo? How is Sermo going to fit in with WorldOne? Or are you
Well-
going to run them as separate companies?
No, we are matter of fact running them as one company, and very much when we're talking about our future, we talk about the Sermo being the center, community being the center of our future. So what's unique about WorldOne is not that we have a dream of going global, we already are global. We don't have a dream of 1 million physicians, we already have 1 million physicians in our network. But the key difference today, that 1 million physicians outside the US, they are not in a community, they're in a network. Sermo brings that foundation of community to us. So our challenge, our mission now, is to take that foundation in the US and spread that, but with our fantastic leg up of already having a trusted brand with physicians outside the US, albeit in a network style.
And so, do you think that you can ultimately aim for a global community where all of us physicians will be joined together and I don't know, singing Kumbaya or something like that, or?
Well, we don't think. We are rather certain that's exactly what we'll do. Now, what we don't know is how will all the physicians act, how successful will it be, how's it all going to look. There's going to be a lot of challenges and opportunities to figure that out. What we do know is Sermo is going to be global, because we already are global, like I said. And if you take countries like the UK, for example, WorldOne, we already have a 46% penetration into
that's
our physicians, but again, but not in community, but as a network. And in most of the G5 European countries, we have between 30 to 45% penetration.
And are you in the developing world as well?
Yes, we are. As a matter of fact, you may have seen our collaboration with Floating Doctors, the charity.
Oh, I was sitting next to the Floating Doctor people.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. So that video just launched today, and please go to worldone.com or sermo.com to take a look at the video. We're very proud of that. Our stated mission is to improve healthcare globally. Doing that with Floating Doctors is the first real step in the center of that, of really saving lives, improving patient outcomes, by allowing doctors out in the field, in this case in the far reaches of Panama, when they see difficult or gray cases, to put them on Sermo, share the details, and then they get and be able to narrow a diagnosis within 24 hours.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That's fantastic. And this particular kid you see in the video, his name is Miguel. Within 24 hours, we had 32 comments back from 11 different doctors from 8 different specialties.
Mm-hmm. Did they get the diagnosis?
Yes, they did. And it came out to be some additional blood tests being done. And although we can't share patient outcomes, but
right.
it is not looking particularly fortunate for Miguel. So it looks like a serious case. We have to move forward to one. We want to keep staying involved with.
It's too bad. It's too bad, but it is marvelous that you're able to marshal kind of the medical brains across the world.
Absolutely.
Just really powerful. I'm involved with an organization where there are a lot of people who go and do training in other countries.
Yeah.
One in particular spends a lot of time teaching surgeons in Tanzania. And it seems that if you could develop this community, you could use it for more than just diagnosis of a single case, but you could actually have transfer of knowledge. Is that something that's in your plans where, I may be an expert in a certain kind of a medical technique, and I could use that to teach people in another country who want to introduce that technique into their practices, how to do it?
Absolutely. So not specifically as stated, no, it's not in the plan that way, but those sort of opportunities are bountiful for us. And it's a combination of the scale of physician and the trust in the community and the technology. So there's those 3 things combined: technology, community, and scale, that can make this kind of thing work. And you can go, you could imagine, all kinds of ways you can interact further with non-profits. You could do in terms of teaching. You could improve knowledge sharing, right? And so many other things, how you could evolve this into, if you have the mass, the community/trust, and the technology.
Well, we should have a conversation, and maybe I'll even introduce it here now, that I'm involved with a nonprofit called MedShare. Yeah. And what MedShare does is it collects still good but unused medical equipment from hospitals. So if you open up a surgical pack in the operating room, maybe use half the instruments. They pack all the instruments for every contingency, but maybe you only use half. It used to be that those instruments would get thrown in the garbage can and they would go into landfill, which is, bad for the environment. It's bad for healthcare costs. But what MedShare does is that it repurposes them and has a very sophisticated inventory system, so that people in the developing worlds, and even in some areas in the developed world, free clinics and so forth that need this equipment, can come in and order exactly what they need. So this isn't that idea that you ship equipment that piles up somewhere because you didn't want it and they don't want it either. I wonder if there's a way to use Sermo where it could be a channel for docs working in those hospitals to be able to, access not just this hospital equipment, but there are all these amazing social entrepreneurs who are developing solutions for the developing world, and their biggest problem is transportation, right? And is there a way that this could all fit together and use this incredible network that you have, and not just this incredible network, but the fact that you, and I'm going to get a little crass here, but you obviously are well funded because your customer, your big paying customer is pharma, and that, by the way, in healthcare is sort of like hitting the jackpot.
Yeah, of course. Well, we resist answering questions as it can all be connected, right? But certainly, well, I would love to talk further offline about this, but we would very much like to engage in conversations like that. And it sounds like a very exciting project. And to the extent that we can help use the power of that community to do better is absolutely, that is our mission, right? That is improving healthcare. And in your case, it sounds like MedShare is about taking something that's going to waste anyway and putting it to very good use where it's actually needed. So we would be proud to engage to the extent that we can.
Oh, that's fantastic. So, Peter, I wanted to kind of close our time together by having you tell me a little bit about yourself.
Sure.
What was your journey to go from, you know, whatever you were doing before to being involved in this really exciting and growing and evolving company?
Well, I'm original from Copenhagen, Denmark, as you may tell by my accent.
Beautiful city.
Thank you. Yeah, fantastic. Lots of bicycles. A little known fact is that actually badminton is a Danish national sport.
Oh, I didn't know that.
No,
I grew up playing badminton.
Why would you, right? And actually, Danes behind the Chinese are the country that bikes the most miles per average citizen.
Oh, and you guys actually might be ahead now.
No.
What I've read about
I saw the article. China's way ahead on
They're
that.
still
you know,
ahead.
still ahead.
Okay.
But very proud of that. It's a lot of bicycles in Copenhagen. Moved to America at 16, so we've been abroad since 16. Then was in London for 10 years when we started the company. It really started as a way to make ends meet when I went to London Business School, and sort of started with no grand plan and blueprint, so non-funded. And then we ran the company up for building these networks for data collection purposes globally from 2000 to 2010. And at that point, said, well, what else could you possibly do with 500,000 doctors, was what it was at that point. And we figured out we gotta be here, we gotta be in the US, so we moved headquarters from London to New York, moved my family over, a proud father of 3 wonderful children.
That's nice.
Yeah, and then since we've been in New York, it's just the amount of, and in the US in general, of just opportunities, inspirations that come around you so fast has been just amazing.
Well, it's interesting that you're here now at Health 2.0 because a large part of the focus, particularly this morning, was on big data. And it sounds like you were trying to do big data before we even gave it that name, which is pretty insightful on your part, and it shows what a terrific entrepreneur you are.
Well, thank you very much.
So we're coming towards the end of our time here together. Is there anything else on the horizon besides all the things that you've told us about that's a part of the grand dream for Peter Kirk and where you'd like to go and the kind of the mark you'd like to leave on the world?
Sure. I mean, so it's probably less about Peter Kirk and my mark than it is about the company's mark. It's for us, and it's both easy and it's hard, right? But it should be. It is right. We are so well suited to live out our mission, which is to deliver to the world the first, and at that point the only, global community of physicians, and later to be bridged with all healthcare professionals, right? And to do that, and then try to take wonderful ideas you just came up with, right? But there could be another 100, if not more, such ideas, right? And how that can be leveraged to so many different benefits should just be fantastic. So to say that we were there, we were doing it, we saw it, that would be fantastic.
Great. So why don't you tell everybody how they can access your site? Is it still sermo.com?
Sermo.com, WorldOne.com. WorldOne is more for industry, right? And Sermo.com for courses for the practitioners out in the world.
Okay. Well, this has been really fantastic. Wonderful half hour. Went by really fast. And this is Pat Salber wrapping it up with Peter Kirk and One World and did I say it wrong? WorldOne. After half an hour I say it wrong. WorldOne and Sermo, broadcasting live from Health 2.0 in Santa Clara. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you.